is coming my way. Wherever I go, hard luck is there to stay. Good luck never stays a day. Bad luck's always coming my way.
Right now we're standing on West Cliff Drive here in Santa Cruz, California. In the opening scenes, when Sam, Michael, and their mom, whose name was Lucy, were driving to Grandpa's house, they drove this street right here to get into what was known as Santa Carla. But in real life, it's Santa Cruz. And before we walk the street and trying to line up some different shots, there's an aerial shot, probably taken from a helicopter, that would have started off over in the ocean, and it came over here to land. And in the aerial shot, you see that lighthouse. And as the camera turns, you see them driving right down this road. And that's where they see the sign that says, "Welcome to Santa Carla, murder capital of the world."
Keep going.
Hey, I like that song.
Keep it going, Mom. Pretty cool, Mommy. You want to switch the dial?
This jams.
Quite it.
Gosh. Oh, wait, that's from my
As the family continues driving down the road into town, this is where they come across the billboard that said, "Welcome to Santa Carla." And on the back of it, it said, "Murder capital of the world." Up here on the right-hand side is where that billboard once was. Well, for the movie. Do you stop and smell the flowers?
Yeah.
You should always stop and smell the flowers. They're pretty flowers.
Yeah.
As we walk up on it, you're going to see a surfer statue. Now, when we get up there, we're going to start lining up shots and talking about this. Right where that surfer statue is, at about the center of your screen, is where the billboard was. All right, let's get right about here. So in the movie, you're going to see that lamppost that's to the left. You're going to see the trees that are behind that. And right where that surfer statue is where the billboard that said, "Welcome to Santa Carla" was. And then if you look just almost like you follow the railing past the statue, and right where it ends, you can see the pier in the background. That's where Max had his video store. We're going to be going to that. It's no longer a video store, but we're going to go check it out. These flowers really are something else.
These ones or those ones?
All of them.
Yeah.
I just love them.
They look like something out of like a dinosaur movie, don't they?
Yeah.
Prehistoric flowers.
This place is beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
So that's it. If you come to Santa Cruz. Now I'm going to be calling this place Santa Carla for the rest of my life. I love Santa Cruz, but if you come here to Santa Cruz and you want to visit some Lost Boys filming locations, you got to search out the Surfers Monument. It's a beautiful view, isn't it? It's something else, like a completely other world compared to the East Coast.
It is.
Just being here. The sign, what's it say? Warning, cliff edges are dangerous. Unstable cliffs, high water, slippery rocks can badly injure you. I'm really glad we made this trip. The Lost Boys was such an iconic movie from the 80s. It defined vampires for me growing up.
Yeah.
You know, my name's Michael, which is weird because a lot of people, we get all kinds of different comments saying, all right, we know her name. Her name is Jessica, otherwise known as AKA Baby Ghoul, but nobody ever says your name. My name is Michael, which is awesome because the main character, well, one of the main characters in The Lost Boys was Michael. If you look behind me, you may notice a giant whale. No, I'm not talking about Jessica. Jessica, you're an itty bitty baby ghoul. The giant whale mural behind her, that's what we're talking about. Now what's really cool about this is back in the 80s, during the movie The Lost Boys, the opening scenes, the montage when the family is coming to Santa Carla, they show this wall and this giant whale snout jutting out.
Been like this long.
Yeah, it was a good couple feet long, it looked like. The earthquake that happened in the mid-80s, it broke off. It's never been replaced, but today, this giant mural still stands here. Here's a wide shot of the mural from across the street. The place is called Day's Market. And if we get a little closer, there's a plaque on the wall that I want to read and show you guys. Look at this thing. This thing is massive. Let's see what it says. Santa Cruz, El Nino, and the Monterey Trench. Artist Gary, commission dedicated to Greenpeace and the people of Santa Cruz in 1984. It's pretty wild. The thing is beautiful. Now what's really cool is if we turn the camera down this way, yes, there are some trucks in the shot, but from right, let's see, let's get a little closer. I'm gonna say probably from right about here. This is as close as we're gonna get. You can see the stop sign in the movie, and you can see that building on the left-hand side. I don't know if you can tell the weird kind of cutout. Those are steps. But this is as close as we're gonna get to the shot from the Lost Boys of the Whale Snout. We had to do some serious searching online, but we found the exact spot where the original mural and the whale snout was. Found a picture online, and in this photo, right over by Jessica where her head is, you can see the plaque. In this photo, you just see the corner of it, but you see both of these pipes just below where the mural was. Pretty much right where the whale painting is today. That's cool. Right now we're walking up what would have been the driveway to Grandpa's house in the movie The Lost Boys. At the very end of this road is Grandpa's house.
Grandpa.
This is awesome. This is like straight up 1980s vampire fun horror.
Right.
I mean, everybody loves The Lost Boys.
Yeah.
You can't drive up to Grandpa's house. You have to park down the street. It's probably about a half a mile walk, but it's paved. I'm digging it. I don't think what we do is real hiking. I mean,
Sometimes it is, yeah.
I mean, yeah, we're getting out, we're exploring.
These are nature trails, and it is uphill.
Right. But we're having fun and doing what we love, and that's what's important. And we get to see some really cool filming locations.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't look like much of an incline, but it'll wear you out quick.
A lot has definitely changed over the years since they were here filming The Lost Boys. Now, as the credits roll, we're introduced to Grandpa's house as the family drives up the street, and the first shot we get is right about here. Now, if you look at that center post, that center fence post to the top, just to the right of it, you see a church. That church, this shot, can be seen in the movie. And the camera turns this way, it pans to the right, and when they do so, you get a shot of the family driving up that road right there. I'm losing my gourd right now. Such an 80s kid, loved this movie. As the family passes the camera turns and follows them as they pull right over to where Jessica's walking. And a lot has changed. If you remember Grandpa's house, there were all kinds of different art pieces and wood carvings and sheds and stuff. All of that is gone. But Grandpa's house, it's still here. So where Jessica was standing is where the family parked the car. They got out and they started looking around the yard at all of Grandpa's weird creations. And then they noticed Grandpa laying on the front porch. They think he's dead. He's doing a damn good job of it. But that front porch, let's peek through the fence here. It's right there. Now, you may know this, you may not know this, but Grandpa's house is a historic place here in Santa Cruz. And right here out front, there's a plaque that says the historic Pogo Nip Clubhouse. The women play polo. This place has been here since the early 1900s. It's still standing. It was used in the Lost Boys. No wonder they have it protected like this. It's been abandoned. I was here, God, it feels like forever ago, a couple years ago, and it still looked like this. You know what? I'm okay with it being fenced off with barbed wire and stuff, as long as it's preserved. This is 80s vampire history. Jessica, the adventurer that she is. What'd you find over here, baby ghoul?
Well, I'm not sure. I'm just wondering if this used to be a pool because of the blue outline in the ground, the cement.
It looks like it would have been a pool.
Yep.
Here's a shot of the side of the house. You don't ever really see any of the side of the house. You just see the front and then inside. Honestly, I don't know if they did any of the interior shots here. I mean, the end of the movie happened here. It had to have been on a soundstage somewhere. It had to have been. They never show the back of the house either, but we do. I love looking at these buildings all the way around. Oh, wow.
Aww.
So, does that look like it was charred?
It does look hard, but that might be an illusion since the sun seems to hit this side the most.
Oh, no.
I thought was fire.
No, that looks like it's charred. I'm guessing that's why everything is so locked down.
Looks like they had a fire on that second floor, all the windows.
Maybe I'm crazy, but I feel like I can still smell it.
You're not crazy. So if you look at the supporting beams in the roof, all the way down, you can see where the fire had touched.
Yeah. It's miraculous that this building is still standing. That's for sure.
And no wonder it's locked up. See a lot of hazards in there.
Right? Growing up, when I saw The Lost Boys, I wanted to be in this movie so bad. I wanted to be a vampire. So bad, I wanted to visit Grandpa's house. So freaking bad. It's cool to actually be standing here, even though I'm not in the movie. Our next location to visit is off of East Cliff Drive, which is on the opposite side of the Santa Cruz Boardwalk. And we think we found the exact spot. Now, where we're walking right now is like an overlook, and at one point...
You can even see this vegetation.
Really? Okay. At one point it looks like it was a parking lot. It's not that now. Instead, it's like a park that we just walked through. But from this angle, you get a really good view of the Santa Cruz Boardwalk, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit because we're going to talk about this scene. All right, so you see the Giant Dipper, the roller coaster right there? Okay, so the people that David and the other vampires were messing with on the carousel at the very beginning of the movie, the guy and the girl, so they are parked up on a cliff, kind of like Lover's Lane, with the roller coaster all lit up in the back, and they're up here in a car. It seems like it's a very small car. But as they're up here making out, the vampires swoop down, rip off the car hood, well, the roof of the car, and they pull them out. And that's the end of them. And this has got to be the spot.
This is actually pretty identical because they have the car, it's a really dark scene, but they have the car kind of at an angle, and it's a European car, it looks like, so it's quite small. This is the same type of vegetation. It's as tall as the car if you really look at it, or almost as tall as the car. And it's pointed directly here, and this is almost exactly the shot that I can see of the movie right now.
Crazy cool, right?
That's amazing.
It's crazy how so much has changed. Like, you could not get a car over to where we're at right now. Oh yeah, all the birds. You want to run through them, don't you?
I want to do that.
Well, you can do that. Also, from this little ledge, at the very beginning of the movie, the opening shots to The Lost Boys happen here. A camera goes flying over the water towards the Santa Cruz Boardwalk. And again, you see the Giant Dipper. It's pretty wild to be standing here. And now it's time for Santa Cruz Boardwalk. I absolutely love this place. This is your very first time here. Sadly, the boardwalk really isn't open to its full potential, not until Memorial Day, so I don't know what we can ride, what is open, what we're gonna be able to see. But the majority of The Lost Boys was filmed here on the Santa Cruz Boardwalk. We can line up so many shots. This is gonna be a lot of fun. But didn't really think about this. Because it is not Memorial Day, nothing is open, so technically we can't get inside to ride the Lost Boys carousel. For the most part, it is locked away here in this building. Absolutely no getting in, so if you do want to come up here, don't come up when it's off season. You won't be able to get in. However, even though we can't actually get in to ride it, they do have some windows, so we can look through the windows and see what it looks like. I mean, if you've seen the movie The Lost Boys, then you know exactly what it looks like, but it's still here on the Santa Cruz Boardwalk. I call it the Lost Boys Carousel, but in all actuality, it's called the Loof Carousel. I was lucky enough many years ago to come here for a visit, and it was open. I got to ride it then. Wish we could ride it now, but since technically Santa Cruz is in our own backyard now, we can come up pretty much anytime we want. We'll be back. Technically, the very first victim in The Lost Boys is the security guard that stopped David and his vampire pals from messing with the couple on the carousel.
I told you to stay off the boardwalk.
He was the first victim, and the parking lot where he died is just an ordinary parking lot. Just from standing here looking back at the park and looking at the scene, you can figure out where exactly the security guard met his demise. Straight ahead, you see the white coaster. That's the Giant Dipper. Over here, I can't remember the name of that log flume ride. By the center of your screen, just above the trash can, is a train trestle. A lot of people think that is the Lost Boys Bridge. It's not. It's closer to Los Angeles. But this parking lot that's in the back, this is where the security guard died. How we're able to figure that out is if you look at the base of the palm trees, there are these planters, if you will. There's two palm trees and there are these oval planters. Those can be seen from the aerial shot as the vampires, David and everybody, are flying above them, and he's walking over this way towards the back of the parking lot. So that is over there where the security guard gets it. If you've ever been to the Santa Cruz Boardwalk, then it probably comes as no surprise that my favorite ride here is this little dark ride called the Haunted Castle. I really wish that it was open because I want Jessica to ride this thing. It's amazing. I mean, it's very old school. It's kind of cheesy. It's kind of hokey, but it is the definition of old school dark ride. You see those gargoyles in the center of your screen? Now look to the upper right of them. You see that guy sitting up there, way above the boardwalk? He should look familiar to you. Another face that should look familiar is this wooden roller coaster called a Giant Dipper. God, I love wooden roller coasters. Michael first notices Star at the concert on the beach, and then he starts following her through the crowd on the boardwalk. In doing so, you see these archways of the haunted castle behind them as they walk right past it. They stop right below where the haunted castle sign is. Sam's trailing behind him, his brother, and he says, "Don't you have someplace better to be?" And he says, "As a matter of fact, I do." Now remember, Frog's Brothers comic shop wasn't on the boardwalk, but in this scene, it would have put it right about here. He goes inside there, and that's where he meets the Frog Brothers.
Take this.
I don't like horror comics.
You'll like this one, Mr. Phoenix. It could save your life.
The next stop on our Lost Boys filming locations journey is Atlantis Fantasy World. But here's the thing. This isn't the original location. In the movie The Lost Boys, the Atlantis Fantasy World is the filming location where the Frog Brothers had their comic book store. In the movie, it was down on the boardwalk, but it never was there. So if you do come to Santa Cruz looking for that comic store, you're gonna be sadly let down. Instead, it's a couple miles away. Now here's the thing about this. The original location was destroyed in the earthquake that happened in the 80s. The business, the company, it's still here. And it's right behind me. And here's the cool thing about it. The owner, who was also in the movie, is here today. We're gonna meet him. So Joe, you're the owner of the comic store, and you were still the owner back whenever they were filming The Lost Boys here, correct?
Well, I have been continuously on the shop now for 45 years.
And you were also in the movie, a couple different scenes.
In the movie for a few seconds. Grandpa gets out of the car, says that's as close to town as I want to get. And the next scene, Sam walks into the comic store and passes me. I'm in the background playing the pinball machine. I have my jet black hair then, not this stuff. And I snuck in a line. The machine was turned off and they were dubbing in video sounds. But I pretended the machine had screwed me, and I went, did you see that? And if you crank the volume to 8, you can hear me say a line I wasn't supposed to say in a movie. And I never got a SAG card, so there you go.
Oh, man. Thank you for signing this for us. This is going to go on our wall. We absolutely love it.
Great, because we have one on our wall, too.
Awesome. Well, yours is the real thing.
Ours is the actual prop. It was never a comic. It was just a movie prop. And, you know, a lot of people still think it was a comic, but it never really was. Just like a lot of people still come to town and look for our shop on the boardwalk, and it never was on the boardwalk. The movie made it look like we were, but we were about a quarter mile away. And we were on the street just like a regular business. They put a wall. They built a wall in the gutter and put Laughing Sal in front of it, and they only shot from the middle of the wall down, so that when people walked by, it did look like they were on the boardwalk, but we never were. So if any of your friends come to town looking for us on the boardwalk, they're not going to find us.
Right, right. Well, much respect. Thank you for still keeping this alive.
It's our pleasure, and as I say, every year, every day, every year the boardwalk has a Movies on the Beach series during the summer. They didn't do it. Well, last year they did a drive-in movie on the beach series. They probably will again this year, but they always started by showing the Lost Boys. And in the past, we've had thousands of people on the beach, all coming, people flying from other states, just to come see Lost Boys on the beach where they had the bonfire scenes. It's pretty cool.
We moved from Florida to Los Angeles. So I have a feeling when they start doing that again, we have to come up to see Lost Boys here.
You have to come up and make an evening out of it. It's a lot of fun.
Heckins yes.
It's like a happening, you know? Day on the Green or something. It's really a lot of fun to have people with common interests come and share that and just have fun for a night. That's all.
Thank you.
Hey, it's our pleasure, and party all night.
As soon as you walk in, right behind the counter, up there on the wall where it says New Arrivals, there's an 8x10 of the Frog Brothers signed. Next to that is the original Vampires Everywhere comic that they used in the movie. Now, if you look to the right of that, you'll see a comic that says Vanity. That was the innards. When I was here years ago, they were just getting these made. Now you can buy them. Lost Boys Vampires Everywhere movie prop, exclusive Atlantis Fantasy World variant, 15 bucks. Definitely getting one of these puppies. Also inside they have a few other Lost Boys things that you can buy, like these pins right here. Looks like, let's see here. There's the movie cover. Ah, check it out. Corey Feldman, one of the Frog Brothers, as well as saying, sleep all day, party all night, never grow old, never die. It's fun to be a vampire. And of course, who doesn't want a Lost Boys magnet for the refrigerator? We do. Getting one of these as well. You know, I was actually really surprised. Going inside the comic shop, everybody in there was absolutely phenomenal. And of course, I had to pick this up, Vampires Everywhere. Now here's the thing. For the Lost Boys, they made two comics, Vampires Everywhere and Destroy All Vampires. The comic store, they got the original Vampires Everywhere, and as you saw, it was hanging on the wall. Now in that comic, they made a few different scenes for the screen. The Destroy All Vampires comic went somewhere else. This one has both Vampires Everywhere and Destroy All Vampires in it. Well, the graphic novel, the comics that they did for the movie. We own a replica prop. This is going on our walls. Do you see how right below the palm trees, how it says Boardwalk? Well, in the Lost Boys, they put a sign there that said Santa Cruz Boardwalk. And what's really interesting about this is if we look over to the left-hand side, that dome-shaped building, that's where the Lost Boys carousel is. Back in the day, instead of a brick and mortar place, it was almost like a fence grating. Now in the movie, Star comes walking out right underneath that boardwalk sign, and right over here is David and his vampire buddies. Their motorcycles are parked right where they have bicycle parking. Is that what you call that? What's really neat, right now the carousel is inside a building, but back in the day, you can see this fence. It used to wrap around the carousel, like enclosing it in. It's still here. Some of it at least. In this scene, Michael's also following Star, and as he comes out, he locks eyes with David for the very first time, and if you look very closely in this scene, you can see this number 3 behind him. It's still here. It's the same exact number 3. Like I said, they filmed a lot of the Lost Boys here on this boardwalk. Now in this scene, you can see the sign behind there that says hot dog on a stick. It looked a little different back then, but right here behind this grate, the store is obviously closed. But this is where Michael stops and contemplates getting his ear pierced. Star, one of my favorite scenes of this whole movie, comes up to him and says, "Hey, it's a ripoff. If you want, I'll pierce your ear for you."
It won't hurt. It won't.
It's a ripoff. If you want your ear pierced, I'll do it.
And you can see a lot has changed on the boardwalk. But as they walk, he asks her, "Hey, what's your name?" And she says,
Star.
That was absolutely perfect.
What's your name?
Star.
Oh, your folks too, huh?
What do you mean?
Ex-hippies. I came this close to being called Moonbeam or Moonchild.
I don't know, maybe I'm the only one who thinks this, but the way that she says her name, what's your name? Star. It just cracks me up. I don't know what it is about it. And then he says, oh, your parents too, ex-hippies. Classic 80s. We've been all over this boardwalk from one end to the next for the past couple hours, and there's really not much here that says, hey, these movies were filmed here, and then Jessica spots this. Boardwalk Goes Hollywood. All kinds of different movies that were filmed here. Clint Eastwood, pictured right there, in the movie Sudden Impact. Mr. Peabody and the Mermaid, 1948. This is what we're here for today. Kiefer Sutherland stars as an evil vampire in the 1987 film, The Lost Boys. But check this out. Right up here in the corner, Mr. Vincent Price riding the Giant Dipper in America Screams, a 1978 television documentary. Now, since this time, there's been all kinds of movies that have been filmed here. I think probably one of the most recent horror movies is one of your favorite movies, Jessica. Mm-hmm. Jordan Peele's Us.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to come back and do that one up properly, but that was pretty much filmed throughout all of Santa Cruz.
A lot of it was filmed on the beach. They built a fun house on the beach, but they also did film it up here on the boardwalk too.
Michael and Star walked to right about here, and you can see these 3 columns behind them. At this point, David rolls up on his motorcycle with his vampire pals, and this is right before we get to the train trestle scene. Michael says, I can't beat your bikes, and David says, you don't have to beat us. You just gotta keep up with us.
Where you going, Star?
For a ride. This is Michael.
Let's go. You know where Hudson's Bluff is overlooking the point? I can't beat your bike. You don't have to beat me, Michael. You just have to try and keep up.
And then they tear off down the boardwalk. The camera switches angles to right about here, and then they ride their dirt bikes to right about where I'm standing. Now in this scene, pay attention to a sign that would be hanging right down there in the corner. If we had a closer look at this corner down here, you can see that there's supposed to be a sign hanging right there. It's currently not. And I say currently not because if we look down here in the window, that exact sign is still here, just not hanging. That's awesome. This is probably one of my favorite scenes from The Lost Boys, one of the coolest shots in my opinion. Right now where I'm standing on the beach would have been where the campfire is. And you see these steps, and David and everybody else, including Michael, come riding down those steps on their dirt bikes. And Michael almost crashes right here, but they turn and they go riding down the beach this way. Right now we're standing outside of 17 Municipal Wharf here in Santa Cruz, right on the pier. The Santa Cruz Bay Company, that building, number 17, this was Max's video store in the movie The Lost Boys. Of course, a lot has changed, but this is it.
I told you not to come in here anymore. Wild kids.
Oh, they're just young. We were that age too once.
We went inside the store and poked our head around a little bit to see if we could line up anything from the movie The Lost Boys. Sadly, no. It's a store. Jessica bought an ankle bracelet, something she's been wanting for a while. But it's just neat to be standing here. It's a small scene, but it's a cool scene. Jessica heard seals, and we had to go seek them out. We found them. They're down there.
There's a bunch.
Let's go check them out. She's about to lose her mind. Look at this. This is insane.
So the really big ones have this like bump on their forehead, and I wonder if that means they're a male.
He's like, get off me. Was not expecting this for a Lost Boys video, but why not?
Wow.
This is pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. This is crazy. This is the first time I've seen wild seals.
Right?
Yeah.
Usually it's in a zoo, nothing like this.
Yeah. But like honestly, little dude down there, if he moved a little bit, there'd be a whole massive space open.
That is amazing. And there he goes. They're going bat crap bonkers.
Some of them are so big. I was here first.
Jessica is obsessed with animals, big and small.
These are so cute.
I love seeing her like this. And then behind us, this is pretty miraculous. Very spooky. Very spooky indeed.
That was probably the coolest thing I've ever seen. They were so close. And they're not zoo animals, these are wild seals. It was awesome. I could stay there all day.
I'm not sure how well you can see it, but in about the center of your screen is Six Flags Magic Mountain, which means we are nowhere near Santa Cruz. In fact, probably about a half an hour outside of Los Angeles. Now, this filming location is probably one of the most famous, the most well-known from the Lost Boys, and it's the bridge scene where Michael and David and the rest of the vampires hung underneath his bridge and then dropped down into the abyss. Most of the movie The Lost Boys was filmed in Santa Cruz, California. In fact, at the end of the Santa Cruz Boardwalk, there's a bridge that looks almost identical to this one. However, it's the wrong one. A lot of people, including myself, years ago went there thinking it was the right bridge, but it's wrong. Instead, if you want to visit it, you have to head a couple hundred miles south, hours south even, just outside of Los Angeles to visit it, and it matches up perfectly. All right, let's do something I've been wanting to do ever since I was a little kid. Also, I wanted to be a vampire. I mean, who didn't want to be a vampire? But walking across this bridge, this is just mind-blowing. Of course, on both sides of the walkway here, you can see these metal fences. These weren't here back in the 80s when they were filming The Lost Boys. Instead, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna look over the side here, the railing. Instead, you see these metal cables? That is the original barrier. And that's the original grate right there. How crazy cool is that? Trying to line up shots on this thing might be a little wonky. Before I stepped foot on the bridge, I took a look at both sides to try to see if I can figure out which way the actors got on the bridge. Couldn't really tell, but just thinking logically how they would have set up the scene, I think you can kind of figure it out. The road leading to the parking lot for this bridge, this trailhead that I'm on, is right at the end of this path. Now, knowing what we know about Hollywood and what it takes to film a movie, a scene, all the different equipment, it only makes sense that they would have set up base camp down on that side of the bridge, filming towards where I am, which, if we turn the camera around, then that means in the movie, David and Michael and the other vampires would have come onto the bridge from this side. Also, there's a behind the scenes photo of them filming this scene, and down here underneath the bridge they have like this crane with a camera on it, and they're filming the Lost Boys hanging from it. And behind that scene, behind the bridge, you can see telephone wires, like, cables, and there they are, only on this side. Makes sense. Oh, well, hopefully that makes sense. The camera would have started off on an angle just like this and panned up as they arrived at the bridge and parked their dirt bikes right at the entrance. Walking onto the bridge, they keep messing with Michael because he wants to know what's going on and why are they at the bridge. And in this scene, as they walk, you can see those two beams in the background.
What's going on?
I don't know. What's going on, Paul? Good night, Michael.
Bombs away!
Bottoms up, man.
The exact spot where they jumped off the bridge is right here. And what's really cool is you can actually count the beams. Well, technically there's 5, but how they have the camera set up, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one here is a little hard to see in this shot.
Bottoms up, man.
Come with us, Michael.
I think it's time that we get under the bridge now and look up and match things that way. In a way, I kind of feel like a kid in a candy store, or I guess I should say a kid in a vampire amusement park. All right, I'm gonna tilt the camera a little bit so you can see up right underneath it, walking over a little bit to try to get to the exact location. All right, I think this is about it. This is just pretty surreal. Look at this. This is probably one of the coolest, I keep saying this a lot, but this is probably one of the coolest filming locations I've ever visited in my life. Now, to line up everything to give you a good idea of where this all happened, where they went over the bridge is right here, and this is where they were hanging. There's a behind the scenes shot that I was talking about earlier that was taken probably from right about where I'm standing, and you can see the crane right here over in this area. Them hanging, you can see the power lines behind them as well. But this is it.
Welcome aboard, Michael.
Fun, man.
Now let's get under the bridge and line up the beams. So what I'm walking through right now is like a creek bed. It's all dried up. But there's still, I stand corrected. There's still some water here. All right, I think we're about the exact spot that they used in the film. Yeah, this is it. You see in the center of your screen how it looks like those support beams are 2 arrows? There's one here, as well as over here on this side. You can see those in the movie as they hang on off the side of the bridge.
Don't be scared, Michael!
Let go!
Undo what?
You are one of us, Michael!
Pretty cool, right? Once again, we find ourselves next to the ocean. This time, however, instead of Santa Cruz, about an hour south of Los Angeles in a place called Palos Verde. And about the center of your screen, that's where the Lost Boys Caves are. From my understanding, back in the day, whenever they were filming the Lost Boys here, you can actually go into the cave a good 20, maybe 30 feet, depending on the level of the tide, whether it's low tide or high tide. Over time, they closed it off, so you can only walk back a certain distance. Now, only the exteriors of this cave were used in the Lost Boys. The interior was all on a soundstage. For those of you who want the exact location of this place, it's called Terrania Cove. And warning, no lifeguard on duty, so do not go into the water, no swimming. We're gonna get as close as we possibly can. Walking over here though, some pretty heavy duty rocks. But you kind of just gotta watch your step. Figure out the best way to go. Oh man, this is amazing. You walk over here and I'm gonna turn around so you can see. Holy cannoli. There it is. That is awesome. Getting into the cave is a little difficult. In the movie, you kind of enter the cave through the vampire's eyes, and they would have flown right through here, right past where I am, into the cave entrance. Like I said, the interior of the Lost Boys Cave was on a soundstage, but just imagine. Now in the movie, there was a staircase that came down probably right about here, and like a wooden walkway that came over this way that allowed the characters to get into the cave. And it's kind of hard to imagine from where I'm standing, but there was all kinds of like junk and a fence and a sign that said "Keep Out," I do believe, all on this little entrance that they would have had to go through in order to get inside there. I'm pretty sure that the Lost Boys Cave really needs no introduction, but just in case you need to have some sort of refresher, inside this cave is where David and Michael and the rest of the vampire gang eat Chinese food. The maggot, the worm scene, and Michael drinking blood and ultimately becoming one of them. Sealing the deal, so to speak, by drinking vampire blood. It all happened here. This is a childhood dream, man. I've seen quite a few people climb down this and get inside the cave. Much respect to them. But since I am the only person here and I have camera equipment, I do not want a chance falling. Besides, you really can't go much further than where you are right now. Now, if it was open, you can go back 20 to 30 feet like you used to. I'd be down there in a heartbeat. But not today. You could pretty much only get to right here. This water is something else though, right? Definitely one of those dream locations that I always wanted to visit. And now I am here. I tell you what's strange though. There's a very expensive resort above the Lost Boys Caves now. You can kind of see some of the buildings right there. A lot of money are in these hills, folks. I wonder how many of them know about the Lost Boys Caves. One more look at the Lost Boys Caves before we move on. Pretty surreal. One more thing before we leave. Now the Lost Boys Caves are to the right-hand side, but you see on the top of the hill how there's a palm tree right there. Well, there's a scene that can be seen on top of that hill of an old road that goes to the other side of the caves. I'm not sure if it's still there, but let's see if we can find it. Have to be really careful about staying out of people's backyards. But it looks like this pathway goes all the way over to where the Lost Boys Caves are, which are about the center of your screen right now. Getting a little bit of exercise in. It's never bad. I absolutely live for this kind of thing. If you would have told me back in the, I don't know, mid-90s, whenever I first saw the Lost Boys, that I would be visiting these filming locations, let alone the Lost Boys Cave, I would have called you crazy. But now I can officially say this is the kind of stuff that Jessica and I do for a living. No complaints on my end. What you're looking at right now is not the Lost Boys Caves or the cliffs, but the road that goes along this cliff on the other side of the Lost Boys Cave is the old road that they would have driven on in the movie. A sign that says, "Do not climb over railing, area closed, no access." Violators will be cited, but honestly, if you climbed over this thing, more than likely you're just gonna fall straight down. But that's okay, because what we came here for is over here. Now if we would follow this road all the way around, well, see that little fence by the center of your screen? If you keep an eye on this metal fence to your left, you see that it curves down up there, going down the hill, which is how they would have got to the Lost Boys Caves. Get a lot closer. They definitely don't want anybody climbing this one here. Heckins, no. But this is it. That's how they would have gotten down. The scene that I'm about to show you is taken from an angle that I can't get to. But with that being said, pay attention to where the cliff ends and the rocks that jut out into the ocean. They match up. Matching up this scene, I want to draw your attention to the fence that's in the center of your screen. Just beyond that is a drainage ditch. But imagine that fence wasn't there. Over here, where this bush is, there used to be a mound of dirt that they obviously cut out for that drainage ditch that's right there. And there were steps, wooden steps that went down over the cliff. And if you look over on the right-hand side, these bushes, probably different. But in this scene, there's bushes in the same exact spot.
Weapons check.
The whole time that I've been filming this and walking around lining up shots for the cave, I really think that The Lost Boys is that movie that made me want to be a vampire. You know, if vampires were real, I wanted to be a vampire after seeing this movie.
Wherever I come, bad luck is coming my way. Wherever I go, hard luck is there to stay. Good luck never stays a day. A bad luck's always coming my way.